We are now in 0102 at Mid Sweden University, and all of you that are here and all of you on the web, you are most welcome. Today we special thanks to Markus Mannstro from Stora Enso, and he's Executive Vice President Division Biomaterials. Stora Enso, that is a company that has rethink in the slogan. It is according to the commercial a renewable company, passionate for nature and loves the forest. And I think Markus will tell us a little bit more about this now. So please welcome, and again, and please also say a few words about yourself before you start.
Yep. Hello. Good day. Thanks to be here. So, as introduced, my name is Markus Mannstro. I'm heading one of the 5 divisions in Stora Enso today. I decided to talk in English, even my mother tongue is Swedish, but I thought this was easier, especially because all the slides and my vocabulary in business language is very much driven by English language. So I hope this is okay. We can also, later when we have questions, you may place them in Swedish or English. Anyway, I'm going to talk about transformation and transformation of a company, and I think also it reflects the transformation of our industry. So I will give you a quick view of what all Stora Enso is today, and every now and reflect that how did we end up to where we are today. At the end, I will also talk a little bit about how we look upon innovation. But otherwise, in other sense, this will be a more generic company presentation. If you look at this picture, I guess you all have a little bit of a difficulty to link this to a traditional forest industry company that has roots in Sweden of more than 700 years and in Finland for far more than 100 years. Anyway, this is an image view of what all are the areas where we will be present going forward. And to give a little bit more flavor on this topic, we start by watching a movie. This is going to take roughly 3.5 minutes. Let's see if we get this to work. So, did you like it? Do you believe in it? Good. So, this is really our view of the direction where we are going. And a lot of the stuff that you saw on the movie are actually reality for us. Maybe not really to the full extent, but becoming a reality in the business that we do. Before I deep dive into the business, I'm gonna tell a little bit more about myself. I've been working for this company since 2001, so more than 16 years today, and I had a great opportunity to participate in a number of different adventures. In my early days, I was spending capex in a lot of industrial projects, building paper machines in Belgium, here in Sweden. Then I was for many years working with investment and capex in our group functions. I've been working in 3 divisions in the company in addition to the group functions. I've been working with paper division, with our board business, and today with our biomaterials or our pulp business. And from a content point of view, I had the opportunity to work with energy-related matters, maintenance, capex, digitalization, R&D innovation, sustainability to a far extent, because we have been quite challenged if we go some 5-6 years back in history, both when it comes to plantation-based forestry and also because of one of the adventures that we had in Pakistan. I've been working with developing new business, building joint ventures, a lot of project work, a lot of restructuring work, M&A, and of course a lot with our mills and forestry. So I've been normally say that I've been really lucky. I have a master's degree in paper technology as background, and then working my way through in a lot of different areas. Also during the years I've been employed in 3 different countries, Sweden twice, and maybe most interesting, going through the company, looking at the company in 3 different eras under 3 completely different CEOs. Early 2000 we used to be the biggest forest industry company in the world. Then under our next CEO we had to go through a very, very difficult restructuring period, and under our present CEO we are now building the future as a biomaterials company. So all in all, very interesting, and most of the thing is of course the value of working with people and different cultures. That is something that I've been enjoying a lot. So our strategy is really built on this slogan. We believe that everything that is made with fossil-based materials today can be replaced from a tree tomorrow. And that is driving our company forward every day. And if we look at it then in pure numbers, what are we today? We are 25,000 employees in 35 countries. We had annual sales of just under 10 billion euros in 2016, and we are a stock listed company in Helsinki and Stockholm. And we have a balance, of course, between Finland and Sweden, and over the years I think we've been very, very successful in running that balance between the 2 Nordic countries that tie us together primarily through the origin, which is forest and wood, and processing wood. Today we are very proud to be able to present something like the quarterly result that was published 2 weeks ago. And after several years of struggle, we can now show growth in the company, even including the declining paper business. So this tells a little bit of how much effort we have been able to put into our growth businesses. And I would raise one specific figure here on this table, and that is here in the middle. operational ROCE, return of operating capital, 13.9. Last time we reached similar numbers was Q1 in 2001. And the company has had this target for return on operating capital 13% since. And if we go 5 years back, people thought, no, that's never, ever, ever going to work. But now we have a real life proof point. So company has changed a lot. Business has changed really, really a lot. Also from a balance sheet point of view and a debt point of view, we are in a very healthy position. So we can really continue to grow. We are a global company. We have presence all over the world except in Africa. Our roots are in Finland and Sweden. We have a strong presence in Europe. We have presence in Eastern Europe and Russia. And lately, during the past 10 years, we have building our presence in China, in Asia, and in Latin America. Then we also have today, after many years of a break, we also have a presence in North America. And managing a global company like this, of course, put its complexity on its own, especially when you go through a period of transformation. And in many occasions I have said that we actually have two transformations in Stora Enso and in our industry also. One transformation has been the one where we have been forced to move out or driven out of paper business to reduce our exposure to paper. That has been a very big transformation. The second transformation started a few years ago when you start to change in traditional industrial company to a biomaterials company. Nevertheless, I still argue, and I believe strongly, that we will remain a capital-intensive industry. And that is why I go back and say return of operating capital is an important measure for us. Because whatever we do, also in the sphere of the bioeconomy and biomaterials, at some point it's going to require heavy capital investment when you start to grow in those businesses, which means that your return requirements are going to be important. As a company, we are driven, or we say we are driven by 7 megatrends. And this is no rocket science. We have companies around us. Most of the big companies in Finland and Sweden are driven by the same megatrends. But we still want to make a point of this because this fits extremely well to our company and to other forest industry companies. We are driven by global warming, growing population, changing lifestyles, digitalization, urbanization, growing middle class, and eco-awareness. And what makes our business unique in this content is that we have an extremely good starting point because we have always been processing a renewable material, wood. And because of many of the processes that we have in our existing business, we actually have a fairly low carbon footprint. And that is, of course, because of chemical pulping. And this is something to be really to highlight and remember when we compare our industry against many other industries, that there are not industries like our company can say that 80%, close to 80% of all the energy that we consume in our operations are of renewable fuels. So our exposure to fossil fuels for energy generation is extremely low. Going forward, how do we create value? We today have a business model and we drive profitable growth via 4 areas: customer insights, structured processes, motivated employees, and innovation. I think historically this industry has been many times challenged because of we are driven by capital expenditure. So we want to make new mills and new operations. In our company, in line with our strategy, we also say that a part of the transformation is that we have had a period of big investments to support our transformation. And now it's time to capture the value of these investments and really focus on our customers, on the way that we work with different processes, with our people, developing our capacity and capabilities, and a lot of focus on innovation. And I will come back to innovation at a later stage. Today, we have 5 divisions in the company, and each of these divisions have a different position on the strategic agenda. I will later go through the content of these divisions a little bit more in detail, but on a broad picture, Consumer Board, that is the division where we make board material of virgin fiber. And of course all know one of the biggest customers that we have, or customer segment that we have, is liquid packaging board, ending up in different applications that companies like Tetra Pak or Elopak or similars are using for packaging milk and juices. In packaging solutions, we produce brown board, both from virgin fiber and recycled fiber, and then we have a number of box plants in Europe and some in China, where we then make boxes for our customers. Biomaterials is the division that I'm heading, and this is the division where we have the traditional chemical pulp business, but also a strong platform for growth with new bio-based materials. In wood products, we process wood. This is mechanical processing. We are still Europe's largest sawmiller. And then in paper division, the role of the paper division is really to maximize our cash flow in a declining market, and that set its challenges itself for the operating model. But during the past 10 years, I think we have been fairly successful in running a difficult paper business also. And this is putting the whole transformation into numbers. And I really think you should spend a few seconds in reflecting what this really means. If we compare sales 2016 to third quarter 26 to third quarter 2017, you see the share of what we call growth business increasing from 30% to 71%. Or if you turn it around, you see the gray segment, paper, 70% of sales in 2006, 29% now. And then society thinks we are slow. But this has happened in 10 years. And you can imagine how many decisions, difficult decisions, have been taken within these 10 years to reach something like this. Also, if you turn it then to EBIT, i.e. Profit, you see that the ratio is even bigger. 38% in 2006 for the 4 growth businesses, and 90% in the third quarter. Afterwards, I think also one thing that we can be proud of in Stora Enso is that when this company was developed as a merger between Stora and Enso, we kept several legs in the company. We had packaging, we had wood products, we had pulp and paper. We were early 2000 growing heavily on only paper, but when we faced started to see the decline, we had the other platforms to stand on. And that is really the core of the transformation, and early enough understanding how your industry is developing. Then from a society point of view, or for a financing community point of view, of course they're always going to claim this went too slow. But we are actually quite proud of the work that we have done. And this slide I only use to illustrate what I just said. Single actions to drive transformation. And here is only the list since starting from 2006. Constantly focusing on the growth businesses, even with big investments. The biggest investment recently is, of course, the consumer board mill that we started up 1.5 years ago in southern Guangxi in China. But we have focused also on expanding in our wood products business, in our container board business, and we have a number of interesting projects ongoing. And then here on your right side, you see also then the other angle of the story. Still since 2016, we have either divested or made closures of Kabel mill in paper, or Suzhou mill in paper, on one machine in Kvarnsveden, and so on. So continuously driving this transformation. If I then move a little bit into the divisions, and I will also try to highlight for each of the divisions a little bit of what are the things that we think are innovative in what we are doing. As I said, consumer board, it's virgin fiber-based board solutions for printing and packaging. We focus on all the segments of virgin fiber-based bleach whiteboard, so liquid, food, pharma, luxury products, and we have our operations in Finland, Sweden, and China. And this is a little bit of a picture to illustrate what all are the product segments where we are present. Liquid packaging being being the strongest, I would say, and then the one which is, at least I would rely on in the future, is everything related to food service board. We're going to see more and more application where fiber-based material are going to replace plastic, not only in these traditional cups and plates, but a lot of fast food, fresh fruit type of applications. And of course that is linking a lot to the biomaterial agenda, because we need to replace whatever fossil aspects we have of these products when they are used by the consumer. We need to replace the PE coating with a bio-based coating to create barriers. We would like to get rid of the alufoil in the Tetra brick, and so on and so on. Also here we have one feature which is combining then this consumer board division to our packaging solutions, is that we focus quite a lot on providing intelligence to our packages. So we are quite far on what we call intelligent packaging, where we use tag technologies and cloud solutions to build unique offering for our customers and also for our customers' customers, be it in the supply chain management or in the consumer interface, where the consumer gets information on the package, or a very typical application is actually counterfeiting protection. So protection against the owner of the content of the pack, to make sure that this is really original part or parcel piece. Goes into a lot of number of industrial applications also. And then one area where we are also quite far is that when it comes to board making, we are a forerunner in using microfibrillated cellulose really in our products. So together with one of the liquid packaging customers that we have, Elopak, we have now run a product for a couple of years which is fully commercialized, where we add a portion of microfibrillated cellulose simply into the middle ply to enhance the strength properties, the stiffness properties, and that way be able to drive down the basis weight of the board, so reaching same product properties, same characteristics, but with a lighter product. And of course, this is something that drives every business. We have to make more out of less. So if we go back and think that how was the mobile phone in early 2000, well, it had a lot of single pieces when it was manufactured, and the number of pieces has reduced dramatically going forward, and the capacity of each single piece has, on the other hand, increased a lot. If we would go 25 years back in history, the today's liquid packaging brick had a basis weight which was more than 50% higher than it is today. This is not only possible through microfibrillated cellulose or CTMP, also machine technology driven by the main machinery suppliers in our industry has contributed a lot to this. Then in packaging solutions we move from white board to brown board. And of course, as I said, we make a lot of different kind of boxes. And this is, from an innovation perspective, a little bit different business, because here we actually innovate in the customer interface. The add-on value that we can provide our customers through ideation and innovation can come from completely re-optimizing the supply chain, having better packaging density, having more of a certain product packed in a certain way, fitting into a truck or into a warehouse or even to a display in a shop. And that is a completely different way of doing business, because then the board and the pack is something that you just have to have there, but the value add is coming through the ideation that you have gone through with your customers. Of course, we also do a lot of research on how we attract consumers with different ways of promoting and designing the boxes and the packs. It's a huge difference whether they are red, green or yellow. It is only so when they are on the shelf in a store, and how they pop up in between all the other products which are then presented. Biomaterials is then the division that today at least I know better than the other businesses, or I should, because I've been running it since 1st of June. What we do is we supply chemical pulp to the market. We produce roughly 5.8 million tons of chemical pulp annually in Stora Enso. Of that 5.8, 2.2 goes out to the market, i.e. we sell. And that is the business of our division. So we have operations, 2 large joint ventures, one in Brazil and one in Uruguay, where we have these huge eucalyptus-based pulp mills for hardwood. And then we have our mills in Finland, in Enocell, eastern Finland, Sunila, southern Finland, and Skutskär here, 200 kilometers south of Sundsvall on the coast outside Gävle. Pulp is a healthy business. It's a cyclic business. It's a volatile business. Every 5th year, everybody thinks that, no, now we should not produce chemical pulp anymore because prices are so low and they're never going to recover. History shows that over the cycle, chemical pulp has been extremely solid business. And today we see an average annual growth of roughly 2.5%. Then you raise the question of how is this possible when paper consumption is declining, and we always think that most of the pulp goes into the paper. But no, we have huge growing segments, especially in the area of hygiene. We grow in textile. We grow in a number of specialty papers, and we grow in fluff pulp, which is then going to care products like diapers. What drives this? We're back to the megatrends, and imagine the wealth of society developed in a country like China, 1.4 billion consumers, and they really their daily life is becoming better with an average of 6.5% a year. So the market that they generate for fiber-based products is huge, and that is of course driving the growth in also for chemical pulp. And that makes it even more interesting also from an innovation perspective. What I would like to see in the future is, for example, we take fluff pulp. When we start to be able to influence the absorption properties of fiber, and we can replace fossil or synthetic absorption materials used in diapers today, then I think it's going to be a really interesting, strong journey. And so what we do, in addition to the chemical pulp business, we focus on a number of bio-based material chemistry initiatives that I will come to also in the end of the presentation. And this is another example to illustrate what we do. This is a dress that was made together with Marimekko already some years ago. But you know that dissolving pulp, viscose staple fiber has a lot of traction among the brand owners today. And there is a strong message from the brand owners that the share of cellulosic material in textile is going to increase really substantially going forward, then primarily replacing synthetic materials and also cotton. So this is why we 2 weeks ago announced that this Enocell mill that today produces 150,000 tons of viscose pulp or dissolving pulp a year, we now turn the mill to 100% dissolving, and so the capacity is going to be close to 500 tons of dissolving pulp. Wood products, you all know the history of mechanized processing of wood. You have 7 good months and then you have 7 bad years. But this has actually changed, and the business is fairly interesting and healthy today. What we do is we focus a lot on construction, on the construction business. We believe that we're going to bring in the same logic as you have with prefabricated concrete, but we do it with wood. We're going to see columns and beams made of a material that we call LVL, laminated veneer lumber. We're going to see wall elements made of CLT, cross-laminated timber. This is a business that we have been doing for 10 years in smaller scale, looking at single housing. Now we expand to look at really doing building solutions. And of course, this is again a huge transformation. We are involved in a very traditional industry that is heavily traditionally relying on concrete. And we have to develop the value proposition for our customers that they understand the value of using wood instead of existing materials when we build multi-story buildings. The easiest entry point here is actually to work with communities. The best way to start is to build libraries, city halls, sports halls, and things like that. You get traction, you get visibility, and the builder, in this case a city or a community, gets the credits for really being supportive and driving sustainability. Then we have a number of other things in wood products also, like we are a quite big producer of pellets, especially on a Sweden scale. So I hope you all use pellets at home and buy them from our online shop. The last division is then our paper division that I'm going to present, and needless to say, but you all know we have had a strong decline, and the decline on many of the paper segments will continue. That is especially critical for newsprint and coated papers, whereas uncoated mechanical office papers, printing papers are a little bit more healthy, also print writing and educational needs. Then why do we continue? Well, we have good assets, we have good people, and we are running this then when we run the other businesses from a growth perspective, this business we run for a cash generation perspective. And you can make good business also in declining markets, but it needs a completely different mentality. You can be innovative also in a declining business, but again, you cannot look for what is becoming bigger. You have to look for how do we make this better. Then few slides at the end. This is a slide that we've been using for almost 2 years, but this is the starting point of how we think. We start from wood. We're going to continue to start from wood as a raw material. We believe that wood can replace most of the applications where we have fossil material today, and that is based on us being good at using the value that comes from lignin, hemicellulose and cellulose as such. So you start with understanding that we have to be very good at separating the 3 components of wood. We have to be better at separating them than we are today. We need new processes. We will not be able to run this based on chemical pulping. So we have to do more. And that, I think, is one of the most interesting questions for research and development in our industry today, that if this industry is going to become a real success in the area of bio-based materials and chemicals, we have to be better at separating the raw material. After that, I think we will have an easier path to go forward than generating value in each of the components. When we look at our framework for innovation, we make it very simple for us. We started to work with this innovation matrix in a broader sense in the company 2-3 years ago, simply identifying the 2 axes of innovation. The horizontal axis where we go from existing to new customers and markets, and the vertical axis where we go from existing to new products and services. And a lot of the stuff that we do is building new features on ongoing business. Going back to this example of how do we develop a better brick for liquid packaging purposes. It is, one could say it's product development, but I think it's much more, because it's not only product development for us to replace PE with a bio-based barrier. And then sometimes we go from ongoing to breakthrough, the upper right quadrant, to be able to support the development that we actually wanted to do internally. So when we in our biomaterials division really look at how do we extract the sugars from cellulose, how do we turn that into intermediates for new plastics or bio-based chemicals. One of the drivers that we have is that the first measure of success is that if we can support our consumer board business to make a bio-based barrier, then we have a huge success. Or we take lignin, for example, where we have had a plant in Sunila mill, pulp mill, where we really with lignoboost take the lignin out from the process. So the first logical application is to do phenol replacement in glues and use it in veneer or LVL production like we have in-house, and have the glue in mechanical wood processing. So it's not so that everything we do up there in the right corner would go to new markets. We have a huge potential to build further on our existing internal present offering. What we have also done is to look at innovation from a broader scale. And in my previous role as CTO for Stora Enso, I started to promote the thought of innovation is for everybody. Innovation is a mindset of a company. It's not only for those who work with R&D. It's not only R&D innovation, it's much more. So that's why we then made a definition. Innovation is the process of translating an idea into new value. Two very important words. Idea and new. But that gives a framework that everybody can participate, whether you are in a growing business or in a declining business, or whether in a group function or in a sales function or heading a R&D project. And this is something that I think companies have to build more traction on. We are limiting ourselves a little bit. Then the next thing I've been promoting is that everybody can use a stage gate process. Only thing is that the definitions in each gate might be different. If it's a scientific project, we have certain criteria here on the gate. If we are driving a digitalization project or a product development or an investment project, we have other definitions. But point is that the better we come in treating all ideas in an innovation funnel, the more efficient we're going to be. Because ultimately that is going to help us making sure that we really put our resources on the places where we see results. And we are able to stop projects that don't proceed. And sometimes we also understand that we have to go really far out of our own innovation funnel to seek help from others, and we have to start to co-innovate, and we have to bring in also mature ideas, things which are already proceeding in somebody else's innovation pipeline into our work. Finally, then ending up to going to market with something new, capturing the value. I think for our industry, one of the most tricky things is actually the end. How do we go to market? Because we've been selling 4 products for 100 years, pulp, paper, board, and sawn goods. And now we're going to still anyway somehow, even if we would integrate our new thing, we anyway will face new markets, and this is a challenge for us. So this is a capacity and a competence that we have to build when going forward. Then one even more interesting picture, and I can tell on a serious note, I showed this picture last winter in our group leadership team for my colleagues when I was CTO. And what I wanted to illustrate is that innovation is a very broad thing. I asked each of the divisions and each of the functions in the company to just quickly, without none whatsoever clear definitions, to put up a number of projects that they consider innovation projects in their own business or area. And I also asked them to put it in the framework, whether they consider it's a breakthrough or new customers or new products. And the learning and the takeaway and the reason why I show it is that this is also something where one has to be mindful. What is breakthrough for somebody might be still in this base box of ongoing business for somebody else. And if you run a company with 5 divisions, quite different offering, quite different drivers on the marketplace on what should we deliver and produce in the future, you understand that we cannot make axis, horizontal and vertical axis, that would force everybody to use the same definitions. And I think that is also one of the aspects that we have to then bring forward, that we have to respect and understand the difference in different businesses, in different innovation environments, in different ideation environments. If we try to make it too pragmatic, too bureaucratic, we will fail, because then there is not room for being open-minded. Another feature here is that what you see is the number of digital stuff, digital services, external 7 and internal 56. We have a very, very strong focus on digitalization in Stora Enso, in addition to whatever we want to do in becoming a biomaterials, renewable materials company. So digitalization is also equally an important driver going forward, and it's going to change many things in our industry, in our processes, in our businesses, and also in our future offering. Well, to end, I still thought that this is such a messy picture, so then I brought in this picture, which I think is a little bit more structured, and this is a picture to illustrate that how do we in the division biomaterials work with R&D driven innovation. And we have 4 platforms, of which the first one is improved pulp properties. This is the story about improving absorption properties on fluff, for example, or making really tailor-made pulp for specialty papers. So this is supporting ongoing business. Then we have 3 platforms where we're going to develop new business. One, what we call regenerated cellulose and MFC. It's about fiber. It's about fiber processing, fiber treatment. It's a lot about the textile industry. And we want to participate in developing new processes for turning dissolving pulp into textile. We want to support by participating in projects where we gradually get out of the present viscose process and we replace it with other processes. The third one is lignin. I mentioned phenol replacement. We have a number of other interesting things in the pipeline. For example, one thing that was mentioned in the video, carbon fibers. And the last one is maybe the most interesting, also the one which from a timeline perspective will take the longest, and that is who will find the magic molecule to replace PET with PEF. So here I end my story. Open up for questions. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Markus. And we will close the video recording now, and